I heard him do his thing. Okay, I heard him have sex with another woman. Now imagine what that does to your psyche. November 14, 2020, I wrote my beautiful home in Houston, Texas, and this is how I manifested my high rise. They'll have a Chanel bag, they'll have a Dior bag, they'll have the most beautiful high rise, but at what cost? Oh my gosh, I was actually praying to God. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm gonna be doing a video diary. It's April 21st. It has been 2 years since Jesse passed, and I've been doing video diaries to just video journal and talk about my feelings. I don't know if I'm gonna post this on YouTube and like talk about Houston, but I feel like this is a good time for me to like sit down and just talk about me moving to Houston, my experience in Houston, like true lessons. I kind of want to post on YouTube, like I kind of want to post this video diary on YouTube just because I feel like when I wanted to move to Houston, Texas, I was looking up so many YouTube videos on living in Houston, Texas, and I never found someone who really talked about like everything about Houston. I feel like everyone just talked about like the bare minimum, not the bare minimum, but I feel like everyone just kind of talked about like the boring stuff, like the weather and how traffic is terrible. But I want to hear from someone, and I know someone would probably benefit from hearing someone's story from someone who moved from Raleigh, North Carolina to Houston, Texas, and how it was to just live in a whole different city. I remember seeing this video on TikTok, and it was this girl that was just like, in your early 20s, like just get up and move, just get up and move. And some of the comments were like, you know, you're gonna grow and you're gonna learn, but they never talk about what do you learn when you do move to a whole different city all by yourself in your early 20s. Like what are the lessons that you actually learned? Like what are the things that you learned about living on your own and living in your own city? All right, so let's just start off with, why did I move to Houston, Texas? I feel like this is the biggest question I always get is, why did you move to Houston, Texas? And I don't even know. It's so crazy. I always told people, like, when people ask me that in Houston, I'll just be like, oh, I'm just a wild child. I just wanted to move to Houston, Texas. Honestly, I feel like the real reason why I moved to Houston, Texas is because I got out of a relationship, and it was my first ever relationship. And I met him in my hometown, and my hometown was an hour away from, you know, my university. And, you know, I met him and we just got in a relationship, and I feel like I, you know, never got to experience college or living on my own as a single woman, because right when I moved, you know, out of my mom's house, you know, out of my parents' home, just living completely alone in college, I already had, you know, like a boyfriend, someone that you could just lean on. You know, I never really had like a moment to myself where I could just grow as an individual. Once that relationship was starting to just kind of like, you know, not be aligned for me and my goals and what I wanted, I realized, okay, like I want to move to a whole different city, and I thought about Miami. That was actually like my #1 choice was Miami, but I feel like I don't know, I just got a lot of people who kept telling me like, no, Miami is just like, it's so fake, blah, blah, blah. And I've always told myself, you know, I want to live my 20s in Miami and then settle down in Texas. I don't know why I got that idea, but I just got that idea, you know. I chose Houston, I downloaded Bumble, made friends on Bumble Best Friend. My first ever friend in Houston was from Bumble. Long story short, I looked into either Houston or Dallas. Houston kind of just fell into place very, very well. I downloaded Bumble Best Friend, I made a friend there. When I visited Houston, Texas, I already had like 2 friends, and one of the friends was just showing me around the apartments. So everything kind of just flowed nicely for Houston, for it to just be like, choose me compared to Miami, compared to Dallas, Texas. Also, another reason why I didn't choose Miami is because the job, like, as an RBT, which is, you know, working with kids with autism, I was doing behavior therapy. That job was just not paying as much as it was in Houston. Like in Florida, the hourly rate in Florida is just so much more lower than the hourly rate in Texas. So that was one of the huge reasons why I didn't want to move to Miami. I just chose Houston, Texas. And then I kind of just wanted to be around, you know, just more around people that look like me, people that are black. Like I wanted to be around black people. So I chose Houston, Texas. Yeah, so it was kind of like my relationship, wanting to just be single in a different city, post breakup. And then it's also just, you know, the job and the friends kind of just aligned all perfectly. So once I started to realize, okay, I want to move to Houston, Texas, I scripted me moving to Houston, Texas. This is November 14, 2020. I moved to Houston, Texas, April 2nd, 2021. I scripted just me trying to manifest me moving to Houston. So November 14, 2020, I wrote, I am so happy and grateful I did it I moved to Houston, Texas. I saved $20,000 for my move and moved out successfully and easily, which is not true. I did not save $20,000 to move to Houston, Texas. I did not have $20,000, but I was scripting, so I was manifesting. My move was easy and fun. My move was rewarding. I feel accomplished and proud of myself. I did it, I moved. And then I just keep talking about I saved enough money to ship my car to my new home. I saved enough money to afford my dream home. I saved enough money to be able to bring prints. I saved enough money to be able to buy all my groceries, and I just go on and on and on, and that was me script. But you know what's crazy is November 14, 2020, I wrote my beautiful home in Houston, Texas, and this is how I manifested my high rise. But before I talk about this, let's talk about living in my Midtown apartment, because you know, I moved to my high rise, but I only lived there for a year, and then I decided to move back to North Carolina, which I'll talk about why I decided to move back to North Carolina. But first I'm going to talk about sorry, it's Prince. But first I'm going to talk about me living in Midtown. I decided to move to Camden City Center, and I was paying around $1,400, $1,500. It ended up starting to be like $2,000, and I was like, $2,000? Why the hell would I pay $2,000 for this apartment when I could just live in River Oaks for $2,000 and something dollars for rent? So I left Midtown after living there for about 3 years. I left Midtown and decided to move to River Oaks, and I'll talk about that more later. That's where my high rise was at. But before, yeah, I lived in Midtown, and I lived in a really good, nice apartment. Camden City Center was an amazing apartment. What am I talking about? No, it wasn't that amazing. I give that apartment maybe a 6 out of 10. There were a lot of things I didn't like. When I first moved to Houston, Texas, my car, the side view mirror of my car got stolen, and I parked my car on the street in my apartment complex, like around my apartment complex, and that was the first lesson that I learned in Houston, Texas. And that was annoying, because every time I told people the story, people were like, welcome to Houston, welcome to Houston. And I'm like, dude, I'm from North Carolina, like I'm from the suburbs, like stop saying welcome to Houston, like fuck. It was just so annoying when people kept saying that. I was like, okay, I get it, welcome to Houston. My side view mirror got stolen. So I have a Mercedes, and you know, when I drove to a Mercedes dealership with tears in my eyes, they were like, yeah, you are the 6th car that, you know, came in today that had this happen to you. So the side view mirror, they didn't even steal the mirror, they stole the case around the mirror. That's what pissed me off the most. I was like, y'all should have, if you are able to steal the case around the side view mirror of my car, like, just steal the whole damn side view mirror, like, or just, you know what, better yet, apply to Mercedes engineer and become a service technician, because clearly you know what the hell to do. So I'm confused. Anyways, Mercedes was trying to charge me a lot of money, and that was one of the lessons I learned. Is like, that's not something people really talk about, is that when you do live on your own, you gotta figure it out, you know? And it does put you in that position. You can't just call your mom and dad and be like, hey, where should I go? Or, you know, you grew up somewhere, so you know where to go if your car is messed up. Like, you have to start all over. You have to find your whole, like, you think you're just only starting all over with your doctors and like dermatologists and whatever, but you're also starting all over with little tedious things like, where did I go when someone stole my side view mirror to my damn car? So yeah, Houston is a very big nightlife. So I definitely got caught up in the nightlife as a 23-year-old woman. I got caught up in the nightlife. I, you know, got into bottle girling and stuff like that, which is a whole different thing, and that's a whole different lifestyle that I learned, and I've learned so much with that. When I first moved to Houston, Texas, I went to a lot of nightlife. I went to camp, I went to Prospect Park, I went to Lost and Found, I went to Chapman Kirby, like just all the popular places you go to when you first move to Houston or if you visit Houston. And you know, it gets old real quick, as everyone always says. And yeah, it was definitely fun. You know, when it came to, you know, that, I realized, wow, you can make a lot of money with nightlife, so I wanted to become a bottle girl. And I just saw the nightlife so much more different. You know, people, like, Houston is a huge nightlife, and there are people that you're gonna meet, you know, if you work in nightlife, you're gonna meet some really bizarre people. You're gonna meet some shitty ass girls, you're gonna meet some shitty ass men. And yeah, like, nightlife really taught me a lot about people pleasing. It taught me a lot about, like, you know, the, like, colorist, like, I just had a lot of colorism. Like, I had a lot of colorist experiences where people just favored light-skinned girls more than brown-skinned and dark-skinned girls, so there was that. And you know, I dealt with people pleasers. I mean, I dealt with me being a people pleaser, and I dealt with just fake people and like being used. I dealt with like manipulation. I learned about like narcissists. Like I learned about, you know, a lot. So that comes into having a plan. I think it's so important to have a plan. You know, you don't want to just move to a new city and that city has a huge nightlife. Almost every big fun city has a nightlife, and you don't want to get so sucked into the nightlife and not care about your actual real life and the plans that you want to achieve. You want to think about, you know, if you grad school, if that's something that, you know, you thought about before moving to the city. You want to also see how your thoughts are changing, how you are changing your goals, and if you are actually taking those steps to those goals. Like, don't let life just fly by because you're in a new city and you're trying to discover yourself and you are completely forgetting about the bigger picture of, you know, what you want to do in your career and just like what matters the most to you. One thing I loved about Houston, Texas is that it's so nice to see how success and money is just, you get a different outlook on money, and you can see that success and being rich is actually so attainable, and you see different things. Yes, there are fake, so that is something, I mean, I kind of already knew before, but it is different to see that in a city where you're gonna see the fake rich and you're gonna see the rich. Okay, I'll like meet an influencer and then we'll, you know, get close, and then they'll start asking me for money. They'll start I've had so many people ask me for money in Houston, Texas. It was insane. It's just like people that shouldn't even be asking you for money is really the thing. Like, I remember this one girl that I, you know, hung out with maybe 2-3 times. She didn't have a car, and I was, you know, doing really well. She just was asking me for like $500. And when I tried to ask her for questions of like, why do you need this? And like, what's going on? And are you okay? Cause she was like, oh, I'm stuck in this place. I'm stuck. I think she went on vacation on a trip and she was stuck there. And she was like telling me like, oh, can you send me money for my rent and whatever? And I'm like, and I messaged her back. I was like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Like, trying to get more of a clarification because I'm a people pleaser. Oh, I was a people pleaser. So I'm just like so concerned about just her well-being, not even focusing on how she was asking me for $500, even though we've only hung out a handful of times. Like, you're not my childhood best friend. You're not my high school best friend. You're not even my college best friend. You're not even my best friend. So I'm not even thinking that. I'm just telling her. She just completely ghosted me, and then she just randomly unfollows me. I don't know. I just met a lot of, you know, terrible girls. A lot of fake friends, a lot of fake girls. Like, the image of some of these girls, they might be absolutely beautiful and they might look like they have an amazing friend group, and then when you're in the friend group or you're friends with them, you start to realize how they treat you, and it's just like, you're not really a good friend. And I will talk about fake friends more because that is kind of one of the reasons why I decided to move out of Houston, Texas, is that I was not able to manifest good quality friends. Everyone strives in different places. So me talking about Houston and me being so vulnerable and upfront and just really telling you guys the truth about my experience, it shouldn't make you feel like maybe I shouldn't move to Houston, Texas, because, you know, where I strive best at is going to be different than you. And I promise you, I feel like everyone strives in different places better than other people. Like, everyone has their place where they strive really, really well at, and there's places where they might not strive as well, or just things like that. I feel like North Carolina is a place that I just strive so well. There's always amazing blessings that happen when I live in North Carolina compared to Houston, Texas. So this was a huge thing. So we already talked about kind of like people pleasing and fake people. Let's talk about limerence. Limerence is when you have an obsession with someone that you don't really know. We're gonna be so vulnerable because this is my video diary, so I don't know if I will post this, but if I do, I don't care. I'm really happy that I experienced limerence I'm happy I experienced limerence because every time I experience something kind of negative and hard, I always make it about, this is gonna help me become a better counselor, because at the end of the day, I wanna be a child psychologist, I wanna be a child therapist, I wanna do therapy with kids, you know, and I just know, like, you know what, this sucks, I'm going through this, but I know I'm going to become better, and I get to experience this so that way I can actually give therapy to someone else who may experience this and like be able to explain it to them better. So basically, limerence is when you have an obsession on someone that you don't really know. And I had an obsession with my neighbor. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. About 2 years in me living in Houston, I developed limerence for someone, and what happens is when you have limerence for someone, it's usually because something in your life is not going so well, so you are going in a fantasy world and creating a fantasy world with someone else because you're trying to escape the reality of the life that you're living. It's crazy because you don't see it that way. Like when I'm explaining it to you, it makes sense. But like when you're going through limerence, you're just having a crush on someone, you know? But it's more than just a crush. It's like it consumes you. And I just had limerence on this guy because I did not like my life. I was so upset that I moved to Houston, Texas. It was about 2 years in me moving into Houston, Texas. And I was honestly thinking about me moving to Florida because that was honestly the state that I really did want to live. I was starting to think, okay, 2 years in, I was really looking at my goals and I was thinking like, okay, I want to go back to grad school. So I was applying to universities in Florida and I was just not getting in. I wasn't getting in and I just kind of fell into like depression, and I was like literally telling myself like, why did I move to Houston? Why did I move to Houston? Like maybe it's for love. Maybe it's because I moved here because I was supposed to meet love. Like I'm a very spiritual person. I'm very like, you know, God, there's always a reason for everything, da da da. That's how I live. And I was thinking maybe it's him. Maybe that's the reason why I moved to Houston, Texas. That sounds really crazy, and I know that's wild, but when you are going through a lot of things, I didn't really have, you know, any friends that I really connected with and was really close with at the time. I didn't really have, like, I wasn't doing YouTube, I didn't really have hobbies, you know, and all these things, and I just started to just develop a fantasy with this guy. It's so embarrassing to say, but it's so embarrassing when you're out of limerence, but when you're in limerence, you're really just thinking like, I just have a crush on this guy and like maybe, and it's so crazy because even let's go even, you know what, let's just make it even more embarrassing. I remember just watching tarot card readings and you're like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Tarot card readings. I actually don't watch tarot card readings anymore. There was a tarot card reading that was saying that really it was insane. And you know what's crazy is that it still was true. Like it still was true. She described my life so perfectly. And if I told you, and I'm not going to, but if I told you, you wouldn't think that like, that's vague. Like no, it was in detail. Like described how this person looked, how like what I was doing, how I felt, like just like things, like she was saying how like you even like signs like, oh, you have something with your teeth, and later when I was brushing my teeth, like I had cavities and stuff. So it was just like stuff like you also, she was like saying like, oh yeah, you also like spent a lot of money right after, like you just went traveling, you spent a lot of money, like specific things that just are not for everyone. Like if I saw that reading now, I would have been like, that's not true. I didn't travel anywhere and I don't have cavities. Like it was, and I don't have a crush on someone that looks like that, you know, but she literally described him so well, and it just kind of messed up my limerence even more, where I was just even more heightened because I was like, it's him! He's my husband! Ladies and gentlemen, that is limerence. Okay, so if you ever have, and you know what, a lot of people experience limerence. There's nothing to be ashamed about. A lot of people experience limerence from all ages. You could be 40 years old and experience limerence. And there's nothing crazy about it. It's also not a disorder. Yeah, I just give it, it's more like a phase, and you can get out of it. And if you feel like you're going through limerence right now, I just want you to know, I think the best way of me like getting out of limerence was realizing what limerence was and why I was having this crazy attachment to this person. But yeah, I had to get out of this obsession with this man because I was starting to hear him, I heard him do his thing. Okay, I heard him have sex with another woman. Now imagine what that does to your psyche. Imagine what that does to you when you have a crush on someone and you hear them getting it on. Oh my gosh, I was actually praying to God. Like I never asked God in my prayers to stop having a crush on someone. Until this day, I literally was like, Jesus, please. I was like, Jesus, please help me get out of limerence of this person. Please help me stop having an obsession and having these thoughts. Also, right after that, that is when my brother did pass away. So after, like, when you're having limerence and then grief kind of just hits you right then and there, you also learn about limerence. Like I started to learn about limerence, what is going on with my mind, why am I frequently thinking about this person that is not going anywhere. and I was watching Larry YouTube videos to stop having a crush on someone. So embarrassing, but I started to just finally feel like liberated and free from my limits. But when I realized that Houston, like I need to move out of Houston, was when I was with a friend of mine and I was telling her about my brother passing away, and she was like, I was like crying, and I was like, I don't know, I'm so, you know, because with grief, when you lose someone, it's not always like holidays and their birthdays that trigger sadness. It's sometimes a random Tuesday, like it sometimes is a happy song, or it's a country song. It could be at the most random moments, at the most random times. And I remember crying to my friend, and she was like, maybe you're just on your period. And I'm like, no, I'm not crying. I'm not crying because I'm not really emotional and sad because I'm on my period. Yes, maybe, you know, I'm on my cycle, so yeah. No, I'm just grieving. My brother died like 4 months ago. So at the time it was 4 months ago. Today marks 2 years of my brother passing away, but at the time it was 4 months ago. And that's when I realized, like, let me move back to North Carolina. Because clearly I don't have any friends that truly love me and are genuine. I've been here for 4 years and I still have not, you know, found friends that truly love me and that are genuine and that are able to speak to me and speak words of power and empower me through their words, is what I was trying to say. I still haven't found those friends, like, and those friends that I have, they don't live in Houston, Texas, they live in North Carolina. So that was one of the reasons why I moved out of Houston, Texas, is because I just looked at my friend group and the friends I made in 4 years, and I was like, all right. So another thing that I learned is just dating and like solo dating and just going out by yourself and, you know, going to a nice restaurant, sitting at the bar by yourself. That's one thing I had to learn and to do. Do it when you feel like confident, you feel happy, you feel good about yourself, because the energy is gonna feel good and you're gonna sit next to someone that you're gonna have a great talk with. Like, do it when you're in that kind of energy. Don't just go out, especially if this is not your thing. Don't just go out just cause, like, go out when you are feeling like good. And you'll just meet a lot of cool people, and it's really important to go out and eat by yourself because it teaches you so much social, like how to be social, and you do meet some people that can really help you with your dreams and your you do meet people that can help you with your dreams and your aspirations and your goals in life. So you have to like go out and, you know, do things by yourself. So that's one of the biggest things that I learned, is like going out and doing things by myself. Dating, quality versus quantity. So let's talk about it. It's crazy that I lived in Houston for 4 years and I did meet someone that I thought was really, really special, and that person will always be special in my life because they helped me through a lot. When I was living in Houston, you know, they were really a huge rock for me. But when it came to a lot of men in Houston, Texas, it was just quality versus quantity. Like, there are so many men in Houston, Texas, but there are just not that many good quality men. Dating in Houston, Texas is crazy. It is definitely a battle of quality versus quantity. Like I said, when I was 23 years old and I was just like, you know, in these sections, going out with my friends and whatever, and I'm starting to just see people around me, who are the men that are in the sections. You start to really look, who are the men that are in the sections, and it's men that are 40 years old. What's going on here? So I just met a lot of just older men, like a lot of older men that are in the sections. And I keep saying that because why are you 40 years old or 50 years old still going out and partying? And even if that's not the case, there's just a lot of, like, in the city, there's a lot of narcissists, there's a lot of alcoholics, a lot of druggies, a lot of men that are just like, I feel like men already are kind of just emotionally immature and just immature in general. So then when you put them in a city with a lot of nightlife, you just continue to attract a lot of immature men. And even as they get older, they still suck. So this is one of the things that I think is very huge nowadays, is sugar babies, girls getting spoiled, finding a provider, all that kind of stuff. That provider lifestyle is a huge thing in Houston. So this is for the girlies and the girlies only. If you're a guy, you should probably just not watch this because it has nothing to do with you, unless, you know, you're a provider. And even still, this has nothing to do with it. For all the girlies who are moving to a different city and they see, you know, these Shira 7 videos, or they see like a lot of, you know, videos about finding a provider. They see just like a lot of those videos where they see men spoiling them and all that kind of stuff. I want to tell you, I've seen it firsthand many, many times, to the point where almost all my friends were like with a man that provided a very luxury lifestyle. There's a lot of girls that will fall in love with narcissists. I feel like a lot of times when you see a sugar baby and stuff like that, like the sugar baby lifestyle or the provider lifestyle, a lot of times it's a woman dating a narcissist. Okay, that is like the low-key like truth of it. It's either the girl is a narcissist and she's truly using the man and she doesn't care about the man or whatever, or it's the other way around where she loves this man and this man is a millionaire and is spoiling her and whatever, but he's a narcissist. So that is the actual fact and that is the actual truth, okay? They will have a Chanel bag, they'll have a Dior bag, they'll have the most beautiful high-rise, but at what cost? That's not everyone. Of course, you can find your provider husband and he is amazing and he spoils you and treats you amazingly and everything. Speaking of high-rises, I did want to talk about how I manifested my high-rise. So November 14, 2020, and this is so crazy because when I saw this, I was in my high-rise. I wrote this November 14, 2020. I never opened this book and saw this until I moved into my high-rise, and I was in my high-rise reading back on what I wrote down, and it came into life. It's crazy. So let's start off. My beautiful home in Houston, Texas, November 14, 2020. My apartment is beautiful. When you walk in, the energy feels light and positive. My kitchen is updated and gorgeous. I have my dream kitchen. The cabinets are white and has soft close features, which is crazy to tell you because which I was so mind blown. It just shows you what you write does come into fruition, and you need to be specific on what you are writing and understand it will come true. Because when I was touring my apartment, I thought I was gonna get brown cabinets. I didn't realize that they have two color schemes and there's a brown version and a white version, and I didn't realize that the odd numbers, they give you the other color scheme, and I was getting the color scheme white cabinets. I thought I was gonna get brown, but I ended up getting the white cabinets, which is crazy because I wrote down November 14, 2020 that my cabinets are white and soft close features, which they were. There is a built-in wine cooler, which I had a built-in wine cooler in my high-rise. My living room is nice and cozy. I have a beautiful view of the city, which I did. The ceilings are high and so are the windows. I have floor to ceiling windows that bring in natural, beautiful lighting. And then I just keep going on, and there's like another page, and I signed it and it came into life. My battery is actually dying, so let's start to wrap this up. I know this video is like so negative about Houston, but it's really just like my overall experience and why I left Houston and all the things I learned. But one thing I did love about Houston is like their food. Is like they had so much to do. You could go to these events and meet people that truly are your friends and truly are genuine. And yeah, just you have to find them through hobbies. And I think that's one thing to learn is like finding different things that you love to be able to connect to other people. So I had such a huge spiritual awakening and such a huge spiritual growth. You know, me losing my brother at 25 years old, I'm now 27. Me losing my brother at 25 years old, it changed my life, and I've had such a huge spiritual growth. I learned so much about psychology, I learned so much about spirituality, I learned so much about your mind and neuroscience, just being able to manifest money. I learned about manifesting money, I learned about manifesting love. And then the last thing is what makes a city valuable to you. Like I said a little bit throughout the video, you know, I started to realize that I didn't really have a strong friend group like I thought I was going to have. I felt like I wasn't accomplishing the things that I wanted to accomplish. I felt just really alone. I felt like the dating was terrible. And it's crazy because I feel so much more loved here in North Carolina, and that's just me, okay? That's just me. There's nothing, I'm not trying to convince you not to move to Houston, and I'm not trying to convince you to move to Houston. But I felt so much more love. Like I moved August 2025, it's April 2026, and I already met someone that I find so special to me. I met someone that I love and could see a future with. So it just shows like there are just some places that you just do better at, and the fact that I manifested love way easier in North Carolina than I did for, you know, living 4 years in Houston, it's just kind of wild. And I also just feel so much more loved in North Carolina. You know, I have my best friend here, my 2 best friends. So the last thing I really want to say to just wrap this all up is just talk about like what makes a city valuable to you and why you should choose this city and choose whatever city that you want to live. I feel like when you do choose your city, you want to also think, who do you want to be when you live in that city? Because, you know, it's a fresh start. You could be whoever you want. So just think about who you want to be, what are the goals that you want to accomplish, and what makes it worth you living there. Because I started to realize, you know, not having someone that I can just drive to their house and sit there and talk to them for hours about whatever, that matters a lot to me. And I didn't have that in Houston. And after my brother, you know, passing away, that made it way more clear for me what I want in a city. I'm so happy I did move to Houston, Texas, because I did get to meet BB, and I did get to meet Carissa, and I did get to meet Ashley, and, you know, amazing people. I did get to meet amazing people that I will always forever love and adore. After you move to a new city, there are things that you need to think about, like, is this still aligned with what I want in my life? So that is everything. I know this video was long, and I know this video was all over the place, and I hope this video was great. And honestly, I might not even post this because it was just all over the place, but I do feel, I feel like a breath of fresh air to just like sit here and talk about Houston and talk about what I learned. And maybe it would help someone if I do post this. Maybe someone found it entertaining, maybe someone found it informative. Comment down below what you guys want me to talk about more. If there are any questions about Houston, like, I know I didn't really talk about the weather or like places to go, or I know I didn't talk about like other stuff like that. So yeah, if you guys want me to talk about anything else, it doesn't always have to be about Houston. It could be even about manifestation, spiritual growth. I also make fashion videos, and I am doing a skin and hair journey. So if you guys like those kind of videos, then definitely subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.